What's up guys, Peepo here, and today's going to be another review. Today's review is actually going to be about this, the Adidas Enrayge head. That's spelled Enrayge. So, I've always known Adidas to kind of be a little bit off kilter, I guess would be a good word for it, to where it comes to spelling certain things, just because it's a brand thing, so why not? Who cares? You'll see what I mean when I actually get to the other reviews later on, also for the other two heads that they sent me. But so today we're focusing on the Enrage, which should be more along the lines of your MIDI attack oriented players. I mean, that's kind of what I've gathered as far as messing with it, stringing it over and over and over again. And I'll get into a comparison for you in a moment as to why I think that. But so getting right into aesthetics first, we're going to look at shapes and aesthetics. Starting with the throat, as you can see, it's a little bit long, so about 2 inches of this roughly 2 inches of the shaft will be inside of the head itself. So there's a decent amount of weight at the bottom. Here, I can show you with this. So decent amount of weight is going to be at the bottom for your bottom hand, which kind of plays into the whole mentality of attack, because a lot of the times you see guys, even if they're two-hand cradling or one-hand cradling, they kind of go vertical almost, and the ball's naturally going to sit low anyway when you do that sort of dodging, and so the weight closer to your hand instead of spread out among the head is going to give you more positive control of the ball. But so moving on from that, if you actually look at the throat, there's a lot of cutaways going on here in the back. Decent amount of cutaway, but a very solid back. Although I wish they would have done another screw hole here. I mean, you could probably always change that later on, but a second screw hole would be pretty good. But since it's more or less a solid throat design, the hole closer to the bottom of the structure would be a better idea, simply because it'll keep this bottom area from moving. Whereas if they put it up near, just one up near the top, it would allow this bottom area to rattle, and then what's the point of a slightly longer throat area to hold back anything? But so moving from the back to the sides, as I already kind of showed you, is that there's a lot of cutout here, which is good, but it also adds structure to it to where it's going to brace. It's not going to snap too easily. And with the cutaways, they don't make any of the bracing or anything too thin, so it's going to be relatively thick and pretty sturdy, I feel. Moving into the front, have Adidas EQT, which I found out actually stands for equipment. The front, again, very solid, very bulky, but a decent amount of cutaway to cut down on weight. And kind of an interesting aesthetic look here, following the curve of the actual keyhole shape. I'm not really too sure if it has a design factor or performance factor with this little aesthetics here, but if you actually kind of look at it from different angles and so on, it kind of curves. So just as a thought, it might not actually be that, but as a thought, the ball actually hitting that area is more likely for the ball to go into the head because it's curved at an angle into the head. So I think that's a pretty nifty idea instead of just going straight in. Getting into the actual face shape itself, it's a rather tight channel right here, and with that tight channel you have the bracing for the actual sidewall itself pretty open here near the bottom, and then what I like to feel is the actual Adidas logo is built into the actual sidewall itself, which allows for it to be closer up to the top. In which case, if you actually pay attention to a decent amount of like offensive minded heads or heads that are built for shooting, there's a little bit more going on closer to the top, so that there isn't a whole lot of flex going on in the head, so that when they actually go to shoot, it doesn't flex too much, but just enough to where it funnels the ball a little better. With that said, the actual sidewall holes on the sidewall are pretty well spaced out. I don't really see any consistency as far as it's a little too much spacing in one spot or too little spacing in another, but I feel it's decently spread out as far as the sidewall holes are concerned. And then when you get closer to the top, you get 1, 2, 3 oval shaped holes that are decently sized to where you can actually do a double wrap if you want to. The very top hole, top sidewall hole, I would probably only use for traditionals personally. Wouldn't really use it for a mesh pocket. But even with these oval holes at the top, the holes for the rest of the sidewalls are actually very large, which at some point might be a structure issue as far as the head actually warping, but it's not going to be too much of an issue in the sense of stringing. So you can actually use like your bigger strings if you really want to. Sorry, she's making noise back there. But she would actually make a lot more noise if she was outside of the room, and you would actually be able to hear her that way. But as of right now, that's bearable. But moving from the sides to the top, they have decent sized oval holes going across the entire thing. There's 7 of them. I don't really care for a center one. They do the same thing in the Brine Clutch series, and there's just really no purpose to a middle one unless you're doing some crazy custom traditional or something like that, or even attaching each column of diamonds across the top. That's just begging for somebody to string it there, and then actually that tearing too easily. But the holes are a decent enough size to where you could fit a double triangle up there. So kudos for that, because a lot of people like to do that, or just simple stringings. There, if you want to actually do like I did with a simple 9 diamond one, the spacing's pretty much perfect as far as the holes are concerned. So it's really convenient. Moving into the actual scoop itself, you can see that there's kind of an oddity as far as the curvature of the top of the keyhole shape. It almost seems kind of spade like, a little too rounded, not so much pointed, but that's a good thing because then it allows for a nice even scoop, a nice wide scoop, so that you can pick up those ground balls easily enough. There's a little bit of a curvature on the back side of the scoop, so it protects the strings just a little bit more so than most would. So overall, it's a decent scoop to where you're not going to have too much trouble. And then again, there's a little bit of a beveled edge going around the front, so that it's when those 50-50 balls are hitting it, it has more likely chance of going into the head instead of bouncing out. Getting kind of into the sidewall itself, as far as stringing it up, when you actually compare it to the optic from Maverick, there's a very decent similarity here at the curvature of the bottom rail. It's not exactly the same, but it's much more focused towards that kind of mid-low pocket. You can definitely string a really good high pocket in it, but because of that curvature, it kind of makes you think, it's more of a mid-low pocket sort of design going on here, and that's what I kind of put into it. So nothing too crazy. And stringing, you can throw a trad in it if you really want to. You can throw pretty much whatever low mesh, whatever you're thinking of putting in it. So it's not too much of a problem when you decide to put whatever it is that you want to put in it. Um, so yeah, the Adidas Enrayge, for their real first attempt coming back into the lacrosse community, because they've tried it before and it didn't really pan out too well. The heads were kind of childish, or not childish, but they were not very well designed. This, just off the bat with this very first one reviewing, the Enrage, I think they are going to give these other companies a decent run for their money just off the bat. It's a good line so far with the Enrage. It's not too flexible. I would not suggest it for face-offs. So if you're asking for that, I wouldn't really recommend it. I mean, it's flexible, but it's not flexible in the sense that it would be having very good flex points to where it would actually take face-offs very well. So definitely wouldn't use it for face-offs. Probably wouldn't use it on a LSM stick. I would really focus towards having a midfielder attack length shaft with this head. So overall, I definitely like the Enrage. It's a little different, a little weird to get used to. The balance is good, but if you don't string it correctly, the balance kind of goes on the wayside. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you got something out of this. Be on the lookout for Adidas to be coming definitely into the market, and I think you'll be seeing a decent amount of stuff from Adidas from now on. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you later.